everybody, Kenny B here. Another edition of my perspective on zombie films and TV, focusing right now on Walking Dead Season 3. Since the last two episodes, 12 and 13, were kind of blah. 12 was called Clear, 13 was called Arrow on Your Doorstep. Well, I like to just call the combination of two episodes blah 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 blah, because a whole lot of talking, not a lot of action being done. First off, episode 12, Michonne, the little bastard Carl, and Rick go looking for guns, because evidently Rick's a sheriff and he knows where everybody who has permits for guns lives. Not sure on Georgia gun law, so I can't confirm or deny that's how things work there. Sounds a little suspect. So, they go to the police station. Police station's empty. Then they go and they're following all these warning signs that clearly somebody doesn't want them in the neighborhood. Signs everywhere. Go the fuck away. Beat it. Scram. So, instead of being on guard and ready for anything to happen, they just kind of casually mosey around, only to get shot at by a weirdo who had basically turned the street into one big punji stick trap for the zombies. So, they take cover. Long story short, little bastard Carl finally did something right. Plugs who you later find out to be Morgan in the gut, knocking him out. Michonne's like, let's kill the bastard. He was shooting at us. Rick's like, no, I know this guy, saved my life. So now it gets on to the next part. They get up into Morgan's little hangout. They see all the weapons he has. He's got fucking grenades. Where he got them, anybody's guess, but he had a fucking big-ass footlocker loaded with them. So Carl's like, there's something I gotta do. I gotta go do this, Dad. I'm gonna go get a crib for the baby, yada yada yada. Rick, being a moron that he is like, okay, yeah, Michonne, you go with the kid. No, not to say much, but you don't know what the hell this Morgan guy's going to do when he gets up. And my suspicions later are justified, but... So, we'll cover that after we cover the little bastard Carl story arc. Little bastard Carl wants to go to a bar in the neighborhood. You later find out he's going there to retrieve a photo of his mom for the baby. During this time, Michonne's like, okay, I gotta stay here with you, I gotta watch your back, basically. And he's like, no, I gotta do this by myself, Well, once again, little bastard Carl, being what he is, puts people at risk for this photo. They go in, they use a couple of rats. Once they see how many zombies are in there, they use a couple of rats from the traps that Morgan had set to get the zombies' attention so they could sneak in and grab this photo. Of course, moron that Carl is, doesn't pay attention to what's going on around him, doesn't look before he climbs up on the bar, and almost gets killed by a zombie. Michonne saves him. Well, I'm going to cover that in a little bit too, before I go into the next episode. Meanwhile, Morgan wakes up, has a knife strapped to his bed, so he uses that to break free, stabs Rick, who surprisingly doesn't bleed out. You know, kind of lucky shot there for Rick. And Morgan's whining about how he was too weak to kill his wife, he would have killed his wife, his son would still be alive, yada yada yada. At this point, Rick should just, if he's not going to join your cause, and he's obviously, like, mentally out of it, he's a danger to other people who might want to join you and be decent and try to help you and your group survive. Kindness would have been put a bullet in his head, take all his shit, because he had fucking more than he needed, move on out. Of course, now, Carl and them come back. They're loading up. Morgan's burning bodies because a bunch of zombies have impaled themselves on his traps. And, you know, they pretty much drive off. and I forgot to cover something that's kind of important. People are bitching about this online, and on one hand, I do say you should find other people, like-minded people to crew up with, and you have more people to defend the prison. But Rick and company passed by a hitchhiker, and basically they leave him to die. Now you're going to say, a lot of people are like, oh well, they should have stopped for him. Given the current climate of what's going on, you have to be careful. But for the hitchhiker, how can you feel sorry for him? He's an idiot. That car zips past, and you're going to keep running for it? They obviously saw you. All you have to do is wave, do something to get their attention. If they're going to keep driving, you're best just to say fuck it and keep going. Instead, he decided to be a bozo and run his fat ass after them, only to tire himself out, so when the zombies showed up around him, he became a ham sandwich. Once again, they could have saved him, they could have interrogated him, find out who he was. Could have been good, but at the same time, given the circumstances, he could have also been a Woodbury plant, which was my initial feelings, but hard to say. We don't know. He was just a hitchhiker that was killed. I'm going to have to check the Walking Dead webisodes and see if he's on there. Maybe they have some backstory to him, other than just a random victim. So, they get a bunch of guns, they go back to the camp. Well, the prison. Leads us to the next episode, episode 13. Starts off, you see Daryl and Rick and Herschel. They're all together and they're looking around this building. Herschel's in his car, strapping a gun to his leg, it looked like. I'm going to cover that a little bit, my whole feelings about that. And they end up going through, Rick goes through the building, checks it. Lo and behold, the governor's there. A couple seconds later, one of those trucks roll up with one of the governor's goons, his little flunky, and Andrea. Andrea goes in, talks about how she wants to mediate a peace with these people, between these two groups. They try to use the river as a dividing line, yada, yada, yada. A lot of talk. Then you find out the governor's not going to do it. Because he feels, you can't trust him to begin with, but he's still trying to go on this whole thing that Rick's party attacked Woodbury first. Rick, instead of manning up and saying, hey, you stripped two of my people down, well, one of my people, threatened the raper. Saying that in front of Andrea would have made a fucking startling case about the character of the governor. Instead, he just keeps his mouth shut and like, oh yeah, well, you gotta take ownership for Merrill's actions. When it wasn't, all Merrill did was beat the piss out of Glenn, well, capture them and beat the piss out of Glenn. So that's all he did. He didn't strip Maggie down. So I said, pushing that point on the governor may have actually, like, especially in front of Andrea, may have pushed things to the point where, hey, this guy's not as nice as he pretends to be. Then outside you got Daryl and, I don't remember the guy's name, out there talking, and they're kind of like having a soldiers talk about how their leaders are basically going to have them kill each other. Milton kind of talks to Herschel. They're talking about things back and forth a little bit. Andrea's butthurt because the governor basically kicks her out and Rick's like, yeah, you gotta go. So basically what it boils down to is the governor gives Rick an ultimatum. Give me Michonne, I'll leave your people alone. Rick, is like, why you want to do this? Why are you being so petty? Yet, and all that. So, they conclude their little meeting. They go back to their respective camps. Merrill's tried to go out there and help his brother, but he's more likely going to put a bullet in the governor's head. That's what his plan was, but he gets stopped by Glenn, who's manning up, unlike Rick. And basically, when he gets back, Rick gets back with the Daryl and group, he basically tells him a lie, saying that the governor, coming for him, he's going to kill him, and then he confides to Herschel what the governor said. Now I'm hoping Rick has enough sense to know you can't trust the governor. It's not really what he wants. That he's just going to end everybody at the prison if he gets a half a shot. The governor, meanwhile, confirms my suspicions about him by telling his right-hand man, his new right-hand man, tells him to set up an ambush, not to kill Michonne. Now, we go back into this from the beginning. First off, Rick, why the fuck would you bring Herschel out to this? He's a gimp. Bring Michonne. Bring Meryl. You need people that are competent in fighting and can actually hold their own. No offense to Herschel, he's a nice guy, but with his gimped out leg, not much he's going to be able to do other than shoot from a car, and once again, it's only a matter of time before those bolts go through the car hitting him. So that was a really piss poor choice. And Daryl, you got a bunch of guns now. Put the crossbow on your back. I know, it's the iconic Daryl weapon now that's been chosen for the series. But put that on your back and you can walk around with an AR-15 or M4, whatever the hell they got. And you'd be good to go. However, once again, the show's kind of weird like that. They don't do a lot of common sense stuff. They just kind of do screwy shit. So, it is what it is. Also, once again, I noticed the armor screwed up again. When Meryl's loading weapons, he puts in an AR-15, no sights on it. A lot of good that's going to do you, Meryl. Unless you're planning on spraying and praying. But, once again, it is what it is. It's my job, as a critic, to point out the flaws in this. Now, if Rick had half a brain, once again, half a brain, before this meeting, 2 days from now, well, 2 days from after their first meeting, he'd go in there and booby-trap the fuck out of that place. Put a couple of hand grenades on fishing line. Maybe Morgan even had a Claymore mine or two, set them up. Lay waste to the governor and his people. Then you can just go and negotiate a new truce with somebody who might be a little bit more sensible. But as long as the governor's alive, there will be no peace between the two camps. Woodbury, the prison, going to constantly try to kill each other. So, like I said, these episodes really didn't thrill me that much. Too much talking, not enough action. That's how I'm kind of like half enthused about doing this one. So, like I said, folks, if you have any questions, you want to email me, contact me, kbeaumont44@yahoo.com. Look for me on Facebook. Might start a Twitter account, I don't know. Debating on that. Kind of busy right now, so it's kind of hard for me to find time to do a lot of tweeting. But until next time, keep your weapons handy, trust no one, and remember, the zombies are eventually going to come. And one more thing, look for me on WordPress, MallNinjas.wordpress.com. That's where you can find my blog. Take care, folks.